So I'm going to dial him up, get him on the horn here.
Hello.
Hey, Layne, it's Stephen from the Bologna podcast. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. How you doing?
We're good, man. We went ahead and jumped on live. I expected that. I guess you got the interview circuit down and able to answer everybody's questions fairly quickly at this point in the week. But congratulations on your first win of 2020 at Langley Speedway. Tell me how you're feeling right now.
Good. My phone's been blowing up. Everybody's been very supportive. It feels really good to get back in the Cars Tour Victory Lane. It's been a while. We counted. It was over 2 years ago. So time flies by. Went to a lot of racetracks, a lot of different races, and I felt like we were always pretty strong, but just couldn't ever get that, could never capitalize on it and make it to Victory Lane. But had a good car, put myself in the right situation, and we ended up going across start finish line first. It's
awesome, man, and I wasn't able to be there. It's the first Cars race I've missed all year, but I did watch it on Pit Road TV, Tony Stevens' call, and I'm telling you, man, it was a hell of a race. And I said with about 15 laps to go, I said if Layne Riggs can get to him, he's going to win this race, and that's exactly what you did. I do want to go back to kind of last year. You were in the same position last year, last lap, running with Bobby McCarty. You guys ended up getting tangled up, and Deke was able to sneak by. Did that run through your mind at all with a couple of laps to go, chasing down Corey Heim on Saturday night?
Yeah, it did. And then also at the same time, what was going through my mind was Ace earlier this year. Had a nose out on the last lap, and Millington ended up driving by on the outside and winning the race. So I had a couple incidents in my head. I was thinking about I knew I had a really good car. He was really slowing down, and I wasn't really picking up speed those last 15 laps. I went back and looked at the times. He just started falling off bad. So we stayed consistent, worked my way, was running the top side, making a lot of speed, a lot of momentum. And like I said, we got up to him and was right there on the last lap, and I said, I'm not going to go through this again. I'm going to make sure that I could pull this one off. Yeah,
again, that's what I was getting ready to ask. It looked like you found something there late in the race on the higher line. You were running a little bit higher line, and obviously a little bit easier to see that when you're watching a broadcast and you got a bird's eye view of it. But you also mentioned in Victory Lane that it was really slick out there. The tires had given up, and you were just kind of skating around. But I tell you, man, it was an exciting finish. It's like I mentioned before you jumped on. 2 weekends in a row where the Cars Tour had a last lap pass for the win. And you have to feel extremely confident heading into you're in the heat of a points battle. You move back into second points. You're only 13 points now behind Jared Fryer. You picked up a little bit of ground on him, but you're also going back to a racetrack that's been very kind to you. Cars racing and some of their big money races at Carteret County Speedway. Talk a little bit about your expectations and looking forward to next weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to Carteret. We hadn't been there since the last Cars Tour race. Haven't seen the place. So I know back in 2018 is when I had my success there. Had runner-up in the Cars race, won the 2 big money local races, and track was still fairly new. And then just being near the coast and having a lot of weather and everything, we came back last year, and the track was a totally different place. There was bumps there I've never seen, dips and humps that I've never seen that weren't there the year before. So we had to adjust to that as well as everybody else. And I've heard that they resealed the track. I haven't seen it since. Mm-hmm. But, I'm kind of not really sure what to expect. I doubt that we're going to go back with the same package that we had there before. But like I said, we might have to go down there and test a little early, put our eyes on the track and see what's changed about it.
Right.
It changed a lot in that 1 year span, and I'm sure it's done just as much.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question. And you made a comment in Victory Lane, and I don't know if you remember making the comment because I know you were excited and kind of getting that monkey off your back. But you made the comment that you felt like you really weren't that good at flat tracks and didn't like flat tracks. But I look at your track record and look at the racetracks that you've been the most successful at in the last couple years. and 3 tracks that are fairly flat. Ace Speedway, Langley, and Carteret all seem to kind of come to the top. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are. Is what makes you a better race car driver with some of these flat tracks where you've got to be? It's a technical racetrack, and you've got to use the brakes, and it's you don't have a lot of banking. You don't have a lot of leeway like you'd have at maybe in Orange County or Franklin County. Talk a little bit about that and how you tackle that.
I don't know. It's really surprising to me. Like I was never really a huge fan. Obviously, I started out in Orange County, one of the big bank fast tracks around here, and that was always has been and probably will be my favorite track forever. But I don't know. We started going to those flat tracks, and I was kind of skeptical. And they told me you just got to have a lot of finesse and slow is fast. So
right,
just kind of worked that into it, and seemed to get the knack of it pretty quick. And our package on our car, we usually don't really change a lot between races, anyways, on the race car. So I guess whatever package that we do have seems to work really well at those flat tracks, and that's kind of what me and Dad's been talking about lately. I feel like we go to places like Franklin County, which is super banked, and Orange County, we run okay. We're not the fastest car by any means, and what do we need to do at those bank tracks to be as dominant as I feel like we are at the flat tracks?
Right. How much do you lean on Dad when you get to a racetrack, especially if it's somewhere that you haven't seen before? Example, Franklin County, a racetrack that nobody had really been to before a couple of weeks ago. How much do you lean on Dad and his advice and expertise on getting adjusted to a new racetrack?
I tell you, a lot of people think that he tells me what to do and his opinion, but honestly, he really doesn't give much input at all. He says, I know you know how to drive, and if anything, you're one of the fastest people I've ever seen pick up new tracks. So, we watch some video and say some things back and forth about it before, but we mainly talk about what the setup's going to be. We rarely talk about me personally as a driver and lines to run and how the race will play out. He says that just kind of comes to you quick, and I don't really have to tell you how to drive at all. You pick it up. We just got to figure out if you got a good car on you, you're gonna be fast. So yeah. So I've always appreciated that from him and his confidence in me.
Right. Well, I don't know that I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. I mean, I might to some people, but I know that you probably got the same email that I did from the Cars Tour today. Basically informing us that the $30,000 race is still is still scheduled for October, but with Governor Cooper's announcement yesterday, 2.5, whatever that means, it doesn't look like we're going to be going to Orange County. I know that's obviously it's a home track for you. You live 10 minutes away from the racetrack. That's where you grew up. That's where you cut your teeth. And we'll get back to that here in a couple minutes. But, what are your thoughts on that? And then the next question to follow that up is, where would Layne Riggs like to see the $30,000 win race move to?
I didn't know about that. I didn't know that Orange, they pretty much said it's not going to happen in Orange County. I hate to hear that. I don't know. I heard rumors that we were going back to Franklin County, and I said, no. I don't want to go back there.
I'm pretty confident that probably won't happen, at least here in 2020. So I think you're safe on that. But I have heard Dominion, I have heard Langley as 2 options. Obviously, those are Langley probably would be, and you'd be in favor of that considering you just won there. But is there another track out there that you'd like to see him go to in a perfect world?
I don't know. I mean, of course, I feel like Orange County is going to be the best venue. They have the best side-by-side racing. It sucks right now where they're located at, where they can't have fans and people. But I don't know. Anywhere that you're successful and you've ran well and that you like, obviously you're going to want to go to. I don't know. Like I wouldn't mind going back to Langley. I know Dominion. I heard that they actually have a local race later in October that is going to be $10,000 to win. Right. But they were racing on a different tire. They raced on the American Racers, I think. So they might throw a curveball. But I don't know. Dominion would be a nice facility. Langley would. I definitely think that if you're going to have a big event like that, it needs to be a nice, clean facility and plenty of capacity for fans to be able to come watch.
Let me go back because you brought up an interesting point at Dominion. Obviously, tires were an issue at Dominion. Several tire failures amongst the leaders. You were fortunate that you didn't have one, if I remember correctly. But talk about that particular racetrack, the amount of speed, and just the sheer force that you're putting on the tires. Because again, you talked about the different tire compound. I think they run the American Racer, the Mercury tire, where the Cars Tour runs the Hoosier F45s. Was there any concern in the car for you once these? Actually, you did have a tire go down, didn't you?
I did.
That's what. And now that I think about it, you had a tire go down because I remember you coming down pit road with the one to go. So that had to be extremely frustrating for you. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, it was actually really weird. It wasn't like we were under green and going fast and it blew out. I was fine and we were leading and slowed down and he said 2 to go, you can clean your tires, and I went to scrub it and it was all of a sudden just dragging the racetrack, sparking.
Yeah.
And my heart just dropped right there.
I did not mean to bring up that bad memory, but I do remember quite a few tire issues. I know Bobby McCarty had a couple tire issue. I know that Chad McCumbee had 2 tires go down during the course of the race. So, but if I remember correctly, you were able to come back and you finished top 5, didn't you? Where you were in the 4? Yeah, you were in the 4 wide for the second place behind Jonathan Finley.
Yes, I was more just kind of looking at it. I was in the lane behind them,
right?
And I saw them get 3, and they all started moving up the track. So I just cut down to the apron and was just hoping possibly if something happened, I could sneak a position or 2 out of it. But I tried to stay as far away from that chaos as I could, and just be there if something did happen.
Right.
Talking about Dominion and tires and going back, I thought we ran on the F45s there before and we didn't have any trouble. We might have been F50s on the right and 45s on the left like we ran at South Boston.
Right.
And if we did that, I personally think that we wouldn't have had any tire issues at all.
Getting back to next weekend, obviously we're going to Carteret County, Solid Rock Carriers 125. You're in the middle of a points race, which you've been in a points championship battle on the Cars Tour in the last couple of years. Some bad luck at South Boston. You're trailing by 13 points. You got to feel good about where you're going to at Carteret, but how do you mentally, kind of prepare for something like that when the last 2 scheduled races for the series are kind of up in the air right now?
Yeah, like I said, we usually take the same kind of package to every track, so it's nothing really big on the setup or being last minute like that really doesn't hurt us that much, at least for our race team. I think it'd be a little tough being a part of the points championship going to a track that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Which if we did that and we were in the heat of it, we would probably have to be testing a lot, have to go learn the track and talk to some locals about it.
Yeah.
But Carteret, I know he's been running really strong. He's been getting pretty much top 5s every race.
Mm-hmm.
So he seems to be really, really consistent. And that's what wins championships. And we had that one DNF at Hickory.
Yeah.
And I think we were doing the math the other day. I finished at every race I was inside of the top 5, and then I was 6th somewhere else, and then I was 6th at Franklin, and then I had the one DNF at Hickory. And we were saying if we didn't have that DNF, we'd probably be right there in the thick of it.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. You and Jared Fryer both have 7 starts, both have a win, both have 5 top 5s and 6 top 10s. So the difference is your DNF versus maybe his 11th or 12th place finish. I have to go back and dig into it, but and look, you've got Corey. Corey's, he's 4 points behind you. You leapfrogged him obviously with the win. He's got 1 win, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. But and then it kind of tails off. I think Mosack and McCarty, they're 21 points behind Jared, but I think it's really I think it's a 3-man race at this point. So, and you've been in that situation before. I think we had Jared on the podcast last week, and we talked to him about winning the Super in 2018 without a win. I know that the win was huge for him at Franklin County. So I think it's going to be a great battle. I do want to talk to you about some stuff off the racetrack. We want to kind of get a little bit more in touch with what Layne's doing. I wanted to go back to the Orange County thing because I think you probably got one of the coolest experiences. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your graduation ceremony from Voyager Academy, if I'm not mistaken, was at Orange County, wasn't it?
It was. That was something that was really weird because I'm sitting in the infield like this is my territory, and I'm looking around and there's this girl I was in a class with. I'm like, what's she doing here? I'm like, wait, everybody here I know, and it was pretty cool because everybody knew about it in advance, and they were all like, oh, Layne, we're going to your house and stuff like that. So it was cool. But at the same time, it just wasn't the same kind of place. They were all saying, you should bring your race car and stuff like that. But I didn't want to take away from anybody or be that guy. So I just went in there and floated in line and enjoyed it. They did a good job. Voyager did a good job. And thanks to Orange County for letting us do that. That was pretty special for everybody. That was I hadn't thought about that in a while.
Well, let me ask you this because for me and Tony here, we're old guys. We graduated years and years and years ago, and obviously we're in some unprecedented times, especially back in March, April, and May. And a lot of people always went back to young people that were kind of. They didn't get the senior year that they anticipated. They didn't get to go to prom. They didn't get at the graduation that they were planning. Talk a little bit about that, for you. I mean, obviously, you're not the average high school student, the fact that you're running, driving race cars on the weekends, but talk a little bit about how that was for you as a graduating senior and how the pandemic kind of affected you.
Yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking at the time, and just had to come to deal with it. This is how it is, and everybody's got to deal with the same thing right now. And pretty much said, if anything, this is going to be a time to remember. 2020, the class of 2020 is somebody, a group that's going to be looked at for years in advance in history. Mm-hmm. But, I never did get to go to prom. My junior year, it was a race in Orange County, the 30,000 race. And then this year, the pandemic happened. So that's one thing I didn't get to go to prom. Got to graduate in Orange County though, so it made up for it. But I don't know, it was okay. If anything, I feel like the class of 2021 is going to have it the worst because they don't get to be in class at all. We got to have our senior year all the way up until March. So
right,
we kind of knew it was coming at the same time. So we kind of the last couple of days of class before they sent us home, we kind of tried to enjoy it as if they were the last days, like we knew it was going to be.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if I'm not mistaken, in our conversations earlier in the year, you were planning to go to UNC Charlotte for college. How's that going? Are we in school? Are we in Charlotte? Are we doing classes online? What's the situation there?
So the plan was to move in. I think it was last week, but they announced about a week and a half before move-in that all the classes were going to be online, at least they said until the end of October.
Okay.
And that it was optional if you wanted to move in or not. The optional move-in date, I think, is in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But, it's either way, even if I do move in, the classes are going to be online, which do kind of suck at first. But
yeah,
I think I'm going to move in anyways and just kind of, I could be here or there doing it.
Right.
But the main thing is that if you don't move in, you lose your dorm. So if, say, classes do start back late October,
right,
I'll be out of a dorm. I won't be able to be there.
Right.
So I'm going to move in, probably be back and forth. It won't be the normal college life that everybody talks about and expects. But
right.
Like I said, everybody, there's nothing to really be sad about or upset because everybody's in the same boat.
Well, I'm sure Mom and Dad are probably excited to get you out of the house, don't you think?
No. but Dad has been working me like a slave lately.
Oh, God.
He's been having me in the gutters, mowing grass, doing everything. He says, "You're leaving soon." He says, "You're leaving soon. You got to get all your work done now."
Well, he's instilling that good work ethic for you. I mean, that's how folks like Gary Creech, who's one of your sponsors, that's how he makes a living, and that's how he's been very successful. I mean, that work ethic's a huge thing, man.
Yeah, and speaking of Gary Creech, I've been actually working with him some.
Have you?
I have. We've been yesterday. I was working yesterday and tomorrow. Oh, actually, yesterday and Thursday. Friday. Sorry, I got my days mixed up. Yesterday and Friday, we did some air conditioning installs, some service calls. Me and him get to ride around town and work on air conditioning during the week.
Okay. I tell you, man, Gary he's always one of the first people that I try to find at the racetrack on a race weekend. Man, he's just such a genuine human being. And I'm telling you, man, he thinks the world of you. He really does. And I'm glad that he has the opportunity to help you guys out and be part of, what you guys are doing in the Cars Tour.
Yeah, he is. He's a great person on the crew. He helps us out. And overall, like you said, a great person and a good friend. I like to call him a good friend. So
yeah,
I'm sure Gary's probably listening right now. So I'll be ready for you on Friday to put that air conditioning in.
If he's not listening, he will definitely listen on the replay. He's pretty good at listening at the replay if he can't get to it while we're live. But and he was really excited about us having you on. He actually texted me and told me he was excited to see us have you on the show. Talk a little bit about we're getting into the time right now, normal time, where we'd be talking about big money races. Obviously, Martinsville has canceled the Valley Star Credit Union 300, a race that is kind of the grand poobah of late model racing. But as you mentioned, Dominion's got a race coming up for $10,000 to win, and I think Greenville Pickens has actually come out with a race. Have you guys looked at a schedule or thought about what you guys may be looking to do here in the next couple of months with chasing some of these big money races?
Yeah, we've kind of heard the rumors, been talking about it a little bit. At the same time, we got to stay focused on this championship that we have. We're in contention. We have a chance at it. So, somebody, like, for example, Josh Berry, he's not running for the championship anymore. If I was him right now, that's the races that I'd be 100% focused on. But only having two cars and one of them right now, you could probably say it's not as good as the best one.
Right.
Definitely want to have your primary at every Cars Tour race. So
right.
I don't really know if it'd be worth the risk of going to those races and possibly tearing your stuff up. And that's definitely more likely at those races. It's
right.
kind of, all out, like an all-star race almost. So I don't know. We just got to see how, what the situation is, and it's something that we can't really plan too early about, but definitely be in the back of our minds.
Yeah. That brings up an interesting point that I'd like to get your take on is you've been very loyal to the Cars Tour for the last 4+ years, and you mentioned Josh Berry. Obviously, Josh started the 2020 season as a Tour and 12 driver and running for a championship, and then circumstances at Ace where he was penalized and basically suspended for a race. He decided that he was going to opt to run for a NASCAR National Championship. Obviously, in my opinion, it's comparing apples to oranges as far as how you win those championships. But with Josh Berry not being in the Cars Tour, obviously it's one less bullet that you guys have to worry about every weekend. And I don't think you don't have to deny or shy away. I think everybody that's been to a Cars Tour race knows that if Josh Berry shows up, he's going to be really good. Have you noticed, or has it been different showing up to a Cars Tour race without Josh Berry there?
A little bit. At first it was, and now it's just kind of become a regular thing. But still get to see the 88 car out there with Connor Bozak driving, and actually him and Brian, they were all parked next to us at Langley. It was funny, they had Mozak, me, and Fry are all parked next to each other, the 3 points leaders at the time. So it's kind of ironic how that happened, but it is a little weird not having Josh here, but at the same time, like everybody, you can't deny it. He's the one to beat. He's the one to look at every race we go to. So, at the same time, it doesn't feel as sweet to get a win.
Yeah.
To know that Josh wasn't there to compete with you, but at the same time, you don't have. That's one less you got to worry about. But I don't know, circumstances. Good luck to him in the championship. I know all of us from the Cars Tour definitely, well, at least most of us are rooting him on.
Yeah.
Hoping that he can get that championship and do something a little bit different.
Well, let me ask you this: in a hypothetical world, you've been running the Cars Tour for the last 4+ years. Obviously, it's a touring division. 10, 11, 12 races a season. You're running against the same competition. What are your thoughts on running for a national championship? I mean, because in my opinion, the way I look, I mean, I think it's a little bit different for Josh because him and Millington are kind of going head to head with each other every week at Hickory. But then you've got Peyton Sellers who's running at Dominion the same night that they're running at Hickory. It's kind of like chasing ghosts, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on chasing a NASCAR national championship, and how your mindset has to be obviously different than running, for a touring division?
Yeah, I've never really thought about doing a championship. It's like you almost got to make your own schedule, and whoever makes the most schedule, there's their best schedule, and gets lucky enough with car count and the way it all works, ends up being the champion. And I don't know, I've just never really been a fan of that. I feel like whoever has the most resources and has 3 cars ready to go to different tracks all in the same weekend, like Josh, he was able to go we won both the Hickory races and both the Southern National races.
Yep.
I feel like we don't have those kind of resources to be able to do something like that. So I feel like at the same time that kind of brings into the money aspect of it, how expensive it is to travel and have multiple cars ready to go at any time. I feel like that's kind of where it comes down to the point of who really is the best. I feel like in the Cars Tour we have our 10 to 12 races, and every time we show up to the track, we got our best, and that's the one race we're focused on. It's not like we can have a twin. We don't have twin races. We don't have races on different nights. It just seems like usually the winner of the championship is usually the one who ends up running the most races. And I think it's usually like 16 races. They take your best 16. Well, a lot of times people don't run more than, I'd say 20 races max a year. To win the national championship, you got to run 40, 45 races. So, like I said, it goes back down to the resources, and it really questions who really is the best and fastest.
Well, I will tell you one thing, young man. That is right on cue with me, and you can agree 100% on that, because I think the thing that I saw this weekend, everybody wants to talk about how Josh Berry won 4 races this weekend, but like you mentioned, Junior Motorsports had 2 cars running at Hickory, and Josh's crew chief was actually leading the second race, and it was so blatantly obvious how easy Josh was able to pass him for the lead in the second race to get that second win. And honestly, man, the same thing happened at Southern National on Sunday. You're exactly spot on with that. Resources and how you play the numbers. I'm a firm believer that the Cars Tour is the best thing going in late model stock car racing, at least in this region, because you got to go against the best of the best every time you strap in. I mean, you've got the likes of Bobby McCarty, Deke McCaskill. I agree 100% with you, man. I think that when you run against the same competition, the best of the best, and a prime example, you go back to Martinsville last fall. How many Cars Tour regulars finished in the top 10 in the Martinsville race? I think it was like 6 or 7, right? So that's one thing that we can agree on 100%, man. So. So let me ask you this, man. You're sitting here 13 points behind. What do you feel like it's going to take next weekend at Carteret County to carve into Jared Fryer's lead? Let's just say Jared has an average night. What does Layne Riggs? How do you go into that weekend mindset wise, knowing that you have to make up points?
Well, let's just say if he has an average night for the rest of the year, we got to win every single race.
Right.
Qualify on every pole, and we'll lead every lap. So he's been really strong. He's been very consistent. We've noticed. We can't have a DNF we got to put ourselves in the right position and not take chances too early. Maybe it might come down to it, and might not take that risk at the end of the race to get the win versus finishing second for the championship purposes.
Yeah.
But we just got to be consistent, and we got to keep having good, strong finishes. And I hate to say it or wish bad luck on anybody, but he's got to have a bad night for us to be able to catch up with only having 3 races left.
Sure. Aside from what's going on now, obviously 2020's been a little bit of a chaotic year, to say the least. But you're a young guy. What are you, 18, 19? 18 years old. You've been in a race car since you were 12. Is that right? 10.
8 years.
You've been in a race car for 8 years. Obviously, the pedigree is there. Your dad was a proven winner in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series. Ran several years competitively in the Cup Series. What are your admirations as far as how, where you want to go in your racing career, and is 2021 the next stepping stone for that?
It's really hard to say right now, especially with everything going on. But
yeah,
I feel like I've been almost ready to get that next opportunity and go to the next place for, I'd say, 2 or 3 years now.
Right.
I feel like I've kind of proved myself in these ranks, and it's just it is tough in the sport nowadays, and it ends up coming to who has the backing and who's able to get those opportunities and good cars and good rides. I feel like the Truck Series is the next step. I feel like super late models really wouldn't be something that correlates. Hold on one second.
That's Scott probably yelling at Layne. He needs time to come eat dinner.
It's exactly what he said. He said, "Come on, eat. Steak's ready."
Oh, steak! We're eating steak tonight on a Wednesday night?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, God.
But, I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Truck Series as the potential next step for you.
Yeah, people ask, are you going to get the Super? But at the same time, especially the car store, the way they treat it, I don't feel like the Super is the next level. That's just a alternate division. So, maybe a couple Super races might do something, get my name out there, because Layne Reed is doing something other besides late model stock racing.
Yeah.
Like I said, trucks is the next step, and I feel like as of now, I could probably go and get a average truck ride, or I hate to say it, but a back marker truck ride. But if I'm going to go there, I'd want to run 1 or 2 races in the best of the best. KBM, GMS, Thor Sport.
Yep.
Any of those really strong trucks, and like right now, I could probably run 5 or 6 races for a decent team. I'd rather run 1 or 2 races in the best.
Yeah.
That opportunity just hasn't arisen.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've always been praying on it and hoping it and working on it and trying to line something up like that. But especially right now with everything going on, it seems like everybody's pockets are really tight, and it's tough to be able to ask somebody for that kind of money.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Dad went from late models to a truck, so I think that's the. And look, man, when your dad was running late models, and I mean, Tony and I can remember him running at Southern National and Orange County, and he did good things and showed people what he could do, and he got the opportunity. I think, like you said, if you get the opportunity, and you can be in one of those high profile trucks, and look, man, there are guys running the Truck Series right now. I watched the race at Gateway on Sunday. They were running in the car series with you, late model Sam Mayer running against you 2 years ago. I mean, it's like you said, it's all in its timing. And again, I think you got to be patient, but I think given the right opportunity, man, I think you'd excel in a truck for sure.
I appreciate that. I feel like I've had a lot of good backing, and people around me have motivated me and said that I can do it, and I feel like I am. I'm confident in myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the right opportunity, I feel like I could capitalize on it. That's why I said that 1 or 2 races, say Martinsville and Bristol, in a KBM truck. You could make something happen. Could pull a Ryan Priest.
Yeah.
Out there and took his loan out and mortgage on his house pretty much, and went what was it, 3 races for Gibbs in the Xfinity car. Even just take that risk. Could work out, or you could wreck on the first lap in both of them, or blow up in practice. So, right now, pretty much with the money that takes, we could run a full late model season for one truck race for KBM.
Yeah.
So right now, it really wouldn't be worth the opportunity.
Well, I tell you what, go on, just go on when you ride with Gary on Friday. Just tell Gary how much you need for that one truck race. We'll just put Creech, heat and air all down the side of it. Like I said, man, I'm not going to keep any longer. I know Dad's screaming at you to come eat steak. I mean, I'm disappointed that we weren't invited to dinner, but I do want to give you an opportunity to thank all those folks that helped this, make this happen for you.
Yeah, Gary Creech being one of them, right here, Creech eating there, top of the list. He's always been there for us. Helps us out a lot. Perrier Tank Lines, Roommate Guest Construction, Turner Asphalt, United Auto Parts of Durham, DreamWorks Motorsports, Jacobs Glass, Chick-fil-A Roxborough Road, Walker Auto Parts, Napa Walker Auto Parts, and Glenn Tire Sales. They with me for a long time and supported me through no matter what. Couldn't do it without them, and very thankful for them.
You missed one.
Who's that?
You missed DreamWorks.
DreamWorks Motorsports. I'm just,
they do help a lot.
They keep the car looking sharp.
Hey, the graphics guy reminded you of your sponsor that you missed. Just keep that in mind. Keep that on the back burner.
That's right.
No, but the reason I mentioned that and I joke with you is a couple of your sponsors are actually clients of ours, which we're very grateful, and it's really cool to kind of have that cross. There's a side, you've got a door over at Donnie's place at Perrier. Have you been in his shop to see the car collection he's got?
Beautiful in there.
I mean,
it's very cool stuff.
It's ridiculous what he has in there. But he's got like the side of one of your cars in there on the wall.
Yeah, I remember that. We took it up there to him one day. He said, I want that side right there.
Yeah.
And we took it. And then the car that I first got my late model start at Orange County, the red number 23. It's that was his car, and he's still got it actually.
I saw that car 2 weeks ago.
Yep, it's in his museum. They stole the motor out of it.
Is that what he calls it? A museum?
It's his museum.
Okay.
But he said we were kind of using the car at the time, and then we started using the car we got now, which is also, it started out being his. He pretty much has given it to us now, but
yeah.
He said, I want it for, because that was his son, Donnie Perrier Jr. used to race.
Yeah.
And he kind of got out of it, and that's when I got in and ran his car with his number and all still on it. So he said, I want that car as sentimental, and I can fully understand that and respect that.
Yeah, right on, man. Well, Layne, I won't keep any longer. I know I don't want that steak to eat cold, that baked potato, and that salad is probably sitting there beside it. But, man, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast tonight and talking with me. It's always great to catch up. I'm excited about you getting the opportunity to get in victory lane, and best of luck to you at Carteret. We'll see you next weekend down at the Crystal Coast.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
No worries. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Layne.
All right, sounds good. Thank y'all.
Thanks.